Hey guys, it is September 11th, 2025, here with your after hours recap. Quick and easy today. I thought the market was acting fairly well. Obviously, you look at an Oracle on the big move yesterday, humongous pickup in volume, biggest of the entire trend, effectively going back, the entire move. There has not been volume bigger than that. Today, you broke yesterday's lows and also on a pickup in volume. To me, that probably signals that this thing is going to consolidate for weeks, potentially months, before possibly going higher. I'm hopeful to be wrong. I don't know what that means for your Irons, your Huts, your Ciphers, your Wolves. It did lead to a little bit of a pause in Nvidia today. It led to some pause in AMD. And there's nothing wrong with that per se. These are names that have been fairly strong for a long time. And then today, obviously, money is rotating, and it is rotating into my favorite name, the biggest base. In the room, I've kind of been pounding on the table of me wanting to make this, my biggest position. And here we are. Huge day today. Really, really nice breakout. Really nice pickup in volume. Highest close since ends of May. I mean, just absolutely awesome. It would be kind of an expectation breaker for us to break today's lows. I'm kind of hopeful for higher. 400 plus is at least a start. And higher than that, eventually the market hopefully will start to price in robo-taxis. It'll start to price in humanoids. But it was just a absolutely awesome breakout today. My watch list was doing really well. You had a name like KTOS pushing higher today. BE continues to go absolutely vertical, which is awesome. Just this 1 o'clock look, and really even your CRDO 1 o'clock basically chart pattern, just awesome. But today a little bit of a down day, a little bit of digestion, nothing wrong with it. Probably a new base is necessary in a name like CRDO, in a name like ALAB. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. ALAB is kind of just coming out of a consolidation here. So, could this one just kind of continue upticking? Yes. But there'd be nothing wrong with, for instance, an NVIDIA just continuing to chop around sideways for a little bit longer, clean up a little bit, and then, could we go higher here in a short amount of time? Yeah, I think it's totally possible. Again, I don't want to guess at what Oracle is going to do to the market, but effectively a bit of a pause, and I would imagine in some of these names it had to do a bit with Oracle. Got a little bit euphoric. The GDXU, or really we could just look at NUGT, just continues to act and break out beautifully. Just huge move here for the gold miners, led by none other than the biggest in the world, which is NEM. Just continues to act awesome. One of the S&P 500's biggest movers, and gold for the last few days really just digesting, not doing anything. And meanwhile, the gold miners just continuing to rock. So that is awesome. Money still flowing there. The healthcare names, UNH definitely feels like it has bottomed. I don't see myself trying to get myself involved into this thing, but it is still continuously pushing higher. Won't be too surprised if we're at $400 on this thing fairly soon. And then, what will it do when it finally gets back above the 200 is yet to be seen. But ultimately, I thought the market, was just a bit of a pause. The NASDAQ held in there pretty well. Semiconductors, for the most part, taking a little bit of a breather today. I don't see anything wrong with that. These memory names like SNDK, they're starting to get a little bit wild. WDC, another one, a little bit wild. MU, a little bit wild. STX, again, a little bit wild. But they're in the right group. They're all in a group together, and they just continue to rock higher, and that's awesome. Even in here, I thought maybe this needed a little bit more digestion after the move it had already given. I was like, it's a little sloppy. I don't know that this thing's really going to go higher. And sure enough, kind of beat my expectations. But great to see. There's definitely names in really, really healthy uptrends. TEM was one that was a absolute monster today. Awesome to see. Huge pickup in volume. Congratulations to those of you guys sitting in TEM. And I did go ahead and buy some OKLO today. I think this was just a beautiful little downtrend line break. Usually don't go for downtrend line breaks too much, but I did just buy it when we took out yesterday's highs, not necessarily the downtrend line, and it's acting beautiful from there. Hopefully a bit of follow through. I also still own MP for the last few days, and we did just reject at the 10-day. I'm hopeful we can perk back up tomorrow. Otherwise, I'm not going to sit in something that's not acting great. I want my stocks going up. I don't want them going sideways. I really want them going up. CCL, I still own this one, going back for the last few months now, almost 3 months, and this thing did just make a new 52-week high. Awesome move for CCL. PDD is lagging, unfortunately. It is lagging BABA. I wanted to get myself involved into BABA, but it was just a tad sloppy down here. This thing did a $3 billion offering yesterday. Got bought right back up. $3 billion is peanuts for a name of this size. And, we are just breaking what looks to be a 3.5-year base. Looks to be going higher. Just look at all the accumulation here on the weekly. All of the biggest green bars, and I mean all of them, are green bars, signaling accumulation for the last handful of years, going back to early of 2022. And here you go. You are now pushing out higher. Congratulations to the BABA holders. I wanted to get involved in this thing. Couldn't quite find a spot before earnings. Should have took it a little bit more seriously last Friday. Instead, I've been sitting in PDD, acting a little bit like a laggard, but I'm going to continue to hold PDD so long as we just continue to trend up this 20-day. I've got no issues with it. And ARK, just absolutely gorgeous. I added to this one 2 days ago. Yesterday, tried to shake me out, couldn't quite do so. And then today, right back to life on a pickup in volume. Really nice flat base breakout setting up again, except this is an even bigger base than before. Kind of looks like it's prepped and ready to go higher. Obviously, Tesla is one of ARK's biggest holdings. So if Tesla continues to push higher, Palantir doesn't die, Hood doesn't die, I would have expectations for ARK making a new high here and pushing, $85, $90. I mean, you look at this weekly, looks absolutely awesome. Just a really nice weekly, and it kind of looks like it's also primed for higher. So hopeful that in the next few weeks we can maybe be seeing $100, and that would be a nice into the end of year kind of rally. But we'll see. No real expectations. I'm just here to manage risk in real time. But I have done a much better job getting myself repositioned on the long side. I still have ARK and added. I still own CCL. I've got PDD. I've got a pretty, not huge position, but sizable in Tesla. I definitely want more shares in Tesla. So any pullbacks on 60 minutes time frame, finding some support, I will be there to buy a few more shares at a time. CCJ is a new one and acting well. MP is a new one acting well. OKLO just added today and acting well. So definitely much more exposure put on lately, and hopefully it continues to work. Market to me seems fine. There are some names that I could see myself buying more of over the coming days if we can break out in something like Uber. It's a little bit sloppy still, but it is shaping up fairly well. We're just looking for an all-time high breakout, basically $98. That looks pretty interesting. Shopify is another one that looks fairly interesting. TEM if it sets up properly, IREN if it sets up properly in time. I've kind of missed my spot on that one. AAOI is one that I'll be watching here going forward. Trying to get positioned in that one. Reddit as well is one that I will be trying to get positioned in going forward. Again, you can't kiss all the girls. You just take the ones that come into your wheelhouse and set up properly. The important part is making sure that you have your eyes on the stocks that actually are going up, and then they'll tighten for you. And then, they will continue higher if the market stays healthy. So there's a lot going on. Also, Ethereum, we should just take a peek at that one. This thing continues to tighten up and just go sideways and do really nothing for the last 10 days. And I don't think that that's a bad thing at all. It's made a nice move up, and now we're just tightening up and going sideways. If we can crack this range effectively over today's highs, I would be a buyer of something like ETHU. And if Bitcoin wants to get its act together, I would be a buyer of something like IBIT or potentially even BitX. So there's a ton of merchandise out there. And if the market's really going to have some legs, you're going to still be able to get on tons of exposure. So, don't force it. Let the market kind of pull you in. I hadn't even really seen how this one was acting, but it is just tightening. There is still a bunch of merchandise, like I said, out there. And if the market is going to give us into a nice end of year rally, you still have plenty of time to get some exposure on. But yeah, that's really it from my perspective. I didn't see anything today that kind of jumped out off my screen, with the exception of Tesla. And we'll continue to try to make that a silly size position. I do have a very sizable position in there now, but we want to make it bigger. Just based on the weekly chart on that thing alone, and my opinion that the market still has to price in some robo taxis and some humanoids. Again, that's just my opinion. I'm really just basing this on technicals. It looks fantastic. It acted great today. And yeah, we'll just continue to take it one day at a time. Hopefully you guys all had a great trading day, and I look forward to seeing you guys bright and early for pre-market prep or in the room near the open. Cheers, guys.